You're listening to Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. I'm Cameron Walters, the application security and DevSecOps builder trying to automate the world. With me is Kurt Hendel, a battle-tested security architect with a zero-trust worldview. We turn real-world security chaos into conversations that actually matter. So grab your cup of coffee and let's travel back in time to the original recording. Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec starts now. We're live.
We're back. What's up, Cameron?
Hey. Good to be here.
You excited? I'm always excited.
I'm excited. I think today is a little different because we were supposed to record something else, and now we're jumping into a different topic, but one that we are well versed.
Yeah, it's a test, man. We're kind of going no agenda today. So for anyone listening, welcome back. It's Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. I'm Kurt, architect by trade, tamer of digital chaos all the time. Got my trusty friend Cameron, the AppSec whisperer, with me as always.
Wasn't it today? The ProdSec Wrangler was my title today.
All right.
And you're the Chaos Tamer.
I'm always the Chaos Tamer, but you could be ProdSec Wrangler today. All right, that's fair.
I think it's the opposite because usually you're the one that's like taking us on tangents all the time, and you're being like, "Oh, look, I just introduced chaos," and then I'm the one bringing us back in.
It's about time, man. We need chaos from Cameron more often. Chaos Cameron, that's your new name.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, so what are we talking about today? We're talking about secrets in code, how leaked keys can sink a ship. We're not using a house analogy or a front door. Today it's a ship.
Well, before we get into this ship, all right, we have to address the elephant in the room, coffee. And today, I purposely did not tell you what I brought.
You're excited about it.
I'm excited because this one, when I went and got it, made me laugh, and I think it'll make you laugh. I am having Mr. Brown ice latte Vietnamese coffee.
All right.
So I took a trip Mr. Brown.
In a can, too. You didn't even pour it in your captain's cup?
Nope, I'm just doing it straight.
Wow. That's you're mixing it up all over the place today, Cameron.
That's really good. It's really good, dude.
All right. Well, I'm not as fun. I've still got I'm on New Beans, but they're not that unique. It's another Blue Bottle coffee, but it's the balanced version of it. They have their bold, they have their espresso. Today we're going balanced because security is all about balance. There you go. I just tied security to coffee. Yes.
Such a nerd.
I am not overly caffeinated like I was last time.
You were jittery last one. I could tell you were good to go, dude.
Dude. It was chaos inside me last week. It's crazy. There's always a little bit of that, but last week it was something else. All right. So we talked coffee. I can't wait to see what else you picked up, which means I got to wait till the next one, but we'll get there soon. But let's talk secrets. Like secrets in code, man. Why should people care about it? What is it? What are we even talking about?
I mean, I like some of the quotes that we put in our agenda. You know, in code, secrets don't whisper; they scream in the logs. Love that. Love that one.
A bit of spooky season, like we have a haunted house.
True.
And I like this other one.
I like this other one. Ever push an API key at 2 a.m. and prayed nobody noticed? Good ones. I
think I've actually done that.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Don't say that.
I rotated it pretty quick.
Fair enough, I guess. I don't know. If
we'll get into that later.
Okay.
I was younger, okay?
Younger, naive, still like long walks on the beach.
Yeah. I grew up a little bit. It's I make less mistakes, but I mean, we all make mistakes, man. It's a matter of how do you fix them or learn from them. We've talked about that.
True.
They don't let me code anymore though. They leave that to you and your team.
They're like, get your hands off the keyboard, Kurt. You're done.
It's a PowerPoint.
Word, PowerPoint, the good old, fun
email, Slack. Don't tease me. I hate Teams. Sorry,
Like
Microsoft.
I'm not like I just Teams is a whole nother problem. I really wish they took more notes from like Slack or Discord. There's a lot of good functionality in there, and Teams just needs to replicate it. Just take it. Like
I'm trying.
make it easier. Yeah, but it's still not as good. Like they're not like my favorite part of Slack. We're see tangent. I mean, we're supposed to talk about secrets, but hey, you can put secrets in Slack. Don't do that.
People do it all the time. They're
People do it all the
everywhere.
time. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Even after you delete them, they're in logs.
They're logs. It's so true. But the secret or the threads in Slack. I love threads so much because it makes the conversation so much more searchable. Teams doesn't have that, and even the threads that they're building, that doesn't work in private chat. So when you're talking one-on-one somebody, and that's where I find the most use for it. It's so useful, yes, in group chats, 100% agreed, but 90% of our conversations that I talk with anybody is in a straight DM, and it's so nice to have that structure. Teams, just put it in there, bring it in there. So I like that last week they were hyping their new feature was that on a post you could put more than one emoji on it.
Like, welcome to Slack.
It was like
Been there forever.
right? Like it's like feels like the Apple and Android kind of like thing. Like Apple's like, we just dropped this new thing, and Android users are like, we've had that for like 2 years. Welcome to Android.
Yeah. No, like I think the latest there's a commercial out floating around now on the streaming services where it's just like instead of a phone or a device, it's an ice cream cone, vanilla ice cream cone. They're making fun of Apple clearly because it's like you released the same thing, but with this tiny little change.
It's true. It's too true. So,
Anyway,
but
that's an amazing tangent. Let's talk about secrets in code or secrets anywhere. Not just in code, but in code is dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, secrets, why? Like, the problem is the problem statement, right? The problem statement is secrets are being leaked one way or another. That could be in Teams chats, it can be in emails, it can be in Slack, it could be in code, right? That's where we see a lot of it. It can be in your logs, can be in
Everywhere.
We're starting to see a lot of it in AI generated code and AI generated chats, right? Because those things are built off that. Things scrape or maybe use different types of data you pump into these things, and boom, now you're just sharing secrets everywhere. A lot of secret tools that detect secrets, they're hooking into everything. I just heard of an integration into like Jira, because apparently Jira is starting to be a landing point for secrets that are being leaked.
Yep.
So,
I mean, it's at the end of the day, secrets are generally represented in text, and so people put them there without even thinking, or sometimes it just happens and it's you realize it later. But when we say secrets, I think a lot of security people are gonna be like, okay, I know what you're talking about. It clicks, but you always pull this one on me. Like my dad's gonna listen to this and he doesn't know how to use a keyboard or whatever. I met someone yesterday that's like, I don't use technology. I can't even use a keyboard. It's like your life is amazing. But secrets, yeah. So okay, now you're gonna make me talk about it. I went to a blacksmithing class yesterday. I'm talking about a tangent. Chaos Cameron's in the house. This has nothing to do with secrets, but I became a blacksmith for a few hours because an identity security vendor put on an event, and they're like, "Let's go do a blacksmithing class." I was like, "This is the coolest event I've ever seen." So of course I signed up, and we turned half a horseshoe into a knife. Like you had to, all you got was half a horseshoe. Put on your gloves, put on your apron, put on your safety glasses. He lights up a forge, tells you what you're gonna do, straighten it out, and then you got to do it. And he'll check your work and whatever. And then the next phase comes. He tells you how you're gonna flatten it and start forming the blade. And then you go and do it, and then you shape it. It's just like it's crazy what goes into this trade. And I've always kind of nerded out on this. And so I finally did it. It was amazing. And now I have a legit knife. I just opened a letter with it 30 minutes ago. It's crazy. It's so cool.
Well, I think that is one of the most unique in vendor security or vendor experiences I've seen. So I agree.
I'm gonna go back, man. Like the place is called Lawless Forge. I think there's a few of them around the country, and it was so cool. You can do all. You can make chopsticks. You can make a Damascus ring. Like you can make garden decoration, flower things. It's cool what they offer, and it's not terribly expensive either. So I'll go check it out again.
Yeah. Live your blacksmith fantasy. So
Right.
back to what secrets are. All right. What secrets are?
Secrets
Are let me
the
define.
hot take. Secrets are passwords. No, secrets are more than passwords. Cameron, tell us what else is a secret.
Oh my god.
Don't tell me your secrets. Tell me what a secret
my
is.
Password. My password is
security.
password special characters. So like I do an exclamation, and then I say sparkly unicorn.
All right.
It's pretty long. It's pretty long, right? So it's a good.
Pretty long. I don't know what your capitalization scheme is. Like
there is no
can't
capital.
crack it. Oh, all right. Well, Cameron still doesn't know how to do secrets.
So secrets could be a variety of different things, right? It could be a password that you log in, right? So as I just said, password.1. They can be API keys. So that's one we see a lot of is API keys, and API keys are a way for two different services to communicate with one another. So for I'm trying to dumb it down to the non-technical folks, there's a lot of intercommunication between two different things, and that's usually done via an API, and you usually have to authenticate and prove who you are. And you do that with an authenticated key, usually done with a service account, because you don't want to use personal keys in there, but that does happen there too. People forget that maybe I should throw a service key, and then it's like, what, Kurt, why do you keep authenticating this service every 10 minutes? And you're like, what? No, I'm on vacation. I'm in, I don't know, Vancouver or something.
Calls from SecOps while you're on vacation. Why are you abusing a service? Because you're authenticating very frequently. Oh, I use my personal credentials to create my API key. Bad idea.
So I think that kind of sums it up. I don't know. Are there other edge case credentials?
I think that's most of it, right? Like, look, at the end of the day, it all kind of comes down to like, it's a representation of a human and their access, or a service and their access. And so when you authenticate with a username and password, sometimes you get a token. Sometimes you're a human interacting with a service. Either way, you're proving your identity, and you're proving that you have access, and that token or secret is tied to you, or the service, or whatever, the entity, I should say. So it's kind of like this identity mechanism. Everything ties back to identity. And
it's the new front line of defense, right? Identity is the new front line.
It's not new. You're trying to get the hot take. It's the OG line of defense, man. Like, well, I guess networks came first, right? And then people are like, oh, we should have identities and protect stuff, tie it to people and whatever. So it's one of the originals, and it's hot now because AI, right? Like, identity's always been there as an attack vector. It's one of those sections of security that a lot of people are like, this is boring. Why should I do that? I was one of those people. I talked about that previously. Now it's exciting. Because I learned about it and I dove into something new, and it's crazy how complicated it is. But at the end of the day, it's got, you basically lit a fire on security, because you don't have network perimeters. We talked about that in one of the last episodes. It's all identity. There's no perimeters anymore. There's just Wild West. So how do we protect things? Identity is your front line of defense.
Yeah. And looking at some of the statistics, right? GitHub, in their 2024 report, I have to pull the exact report, 39 million leaked secrets just in 2024. So this is happening all the time. I can't even imagine what 2025 numbers will look like when all the AI code is generated, because that's like one of, I have to pull up the LLM top 10. I should just have this up in a different, I have it up already.
You should always have all the OAuth stuff up. Like,
I already did from our last conversation, and sensitive information disclosure is number 2. Yeah. So secrets, among other things. Yeah. Okay. So that's why it's there.
That's in the new OAuth, right? It's just dropped.
No, that's in the.
That's the previous one.
That's LLM.
Oh, all right.
I'm looking at LLM.
just LLMs, well, that's going to probably make that number explode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be pretty
I
crazy
think.
seeing those kinds of things. And I mean, it's quite the problem, right? Into the, you know, everyone always asks like, why does this keep happening, right? Why does it keep happening? And I think it keeps happening because of just how easy it is, right? How prevalent it is.
Yeah.
AI again is generated on a ton of. I mean, how I see and feel, it looks like it was scraped a lot of GitHub and Stack Overflow and trained on all these things where security is usually a second thought, or I mean, it's usually not the primary thought, and so the code that you're actually getting generated is not the most secure. The models are improving, but AI
Yeah.
secrets doesn't seem like they're improving, or I mean, secrets in general, having those is not improving fast enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's becoming a bigger problem because, I mean, it's people are using them more. You have all this API to API communication that
MCP to
basically
MCP.
runs the world. MCPs are another hot take. MCP servers are just an interface to an API for an LLM. So the fact that it's called an MCP server is weird, but we'll save that for a different day. Again,
I think
API-driven
it's
world.
weird that MCP is called protocol. Like, why is it called protocol? I don't know if it should be called like model tech context protocol, because it doesn't feel like a protocol. I mean, maybe somebody can give me a way to change my mind, but I just every time I think protocol, I'm like, this feels weird because like SSH could be a protocol, right? Like
Yeah,
these things
I
are
mean, we
like,
think
but that's like this, that's standard. It's copy paste every time. NCP servers doesn't feel standard, but maybe that's because that's so new, right? And SSH is like
yeah.
tried and true thing.
Well, they're still fleshing out the definition, like the model context protocol. It's when you think protocol, I just pulled up the definition because it's one of those things we take advantage of. Like I know what a protocol is, right? But formally, like what is the definition? There's a bunch of different stuff, but for computers, it's a standard procedure for regulating data transmission between computers. So it's a mode of communication. We always think network protocols where it's like you have packets and they have to have this super well-defined structure. It just doesn't work, right? But now like model context protocol, maybe it does have a structure. I don't know. I haven't read that deep into it, but it's a mode of communication for AI systems to other tools. So I guess it makes sense.
I guess
It's
I'm thinking it now. Like now that we've workshopped it and walked it through, I'm kind of feeling okay. I can kind of see why it says protocol.
they're trying to create that standard
Yeah.
for how AI can talk to different technologies.
Yeah.
So it'll get there. We need more time.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. So, I mean, we can jump into our first case study around it, the most recent one.
This is your world. So this happened. Was this year feels long, man. Like a lot's happened in 2025. But TJ Actions, another supply chain attack, but secrets are
Yeah,
involved.
and
So
OS top 10, the new OAuth top 10 software supply chain failures. It's the new category 3. I'm really stoked about that. We'll probably, I think next episode or the episode after will be about that. But TJ Actions was an interesting one. Right, we're starting to see a lot more attack vectors around our CI/CD pipelines. Quick plug: the SPVS, the Secure Pipeline Verification Standard. This is something we think is going to keep only increasing, and I would say 2025 has really proven us right that pipeline security needs to increase, and pipeline security is something that is needed to be taken seriously. I'm waiting for the day, and I hope this day happens. Is that like IRAP? Dealing with IRAP right now with the ASVS, but
you
I'm
got to
waiting for
define IRAP, man.
right. That it's the if you want to
It's
work for
from
the
it's the Australian
yeah,
government's
it's gonna get there.
compliance framework.
It's gonna get
All
there.
right. It's basically FedRAMP for Australia, right? Now it's like,
Yeah,
what the hell is FedRAMP? That's the US government.
yeah.
It's
But
crazy. Anyway.
in that security certification, you're required to have ASVS in there, and I'm hoping that SPVS gets adopted there too, and it becomes, hey,
Nice.
you have to have SPVS, in within your pipeline, or have run a level 1 SPVS
Yeah.
audit against your pipeline security, because I think it's only going to keep happening. And TJ Actions was a really interesting one in that they essentially injected malicious code into TJ Actions, which is used to detect change files that have or files that have changed in your GitHub runners, which is useful because you want to know
Yeah.
what the pipeline in the logs is running and what the difference is there, so you can, if you have to debug, it's a great thing to have, right?
Like using a
And
diff.
yeah, a diff, or comment. You're gonna print f, right, something, or print something. C out if you're a C++ person. Um, I think it's C out. I might have forgotten. I'm pretty sure it's
It's
C
been a
out.
while.
I know
I
it's been
think
a
it
while.
is.
I'm gonna have to look it up again. It's been a minute since I've written some C, but this is good things to know when you're debugging. And so the attacker took and went and essentially scraped the pipeline or the pipeline environment for any secrets, and then dumped those secrets, base 64 them, I believe, twice. I think they base 64 them twice, and then throwed them into your logs, and it just looked like gook that would just be part of your pipeline. And so it was easily to be seen or not seen. And there's a lot of pipelines out there where their pipeline runners are publicly known, or publicly like exposed for like open source projects.
Right.
And so those projects were leaking secrets for weeks. I believe it was like weeks, and nobody knew because it was just so subtle. But the attacker knew, and so who knows what
Right.
secrets they were scraping, what they were using. I feel bad for any company that actually was affected. I have a friend who was affected, and we were like supposed to meet up and chat online, and he was like, "Dude, I'm working." He texted me at like 5 in the morning is when he signed off from a full day. Like, it was like
Jeez.
16 or 17 hours straight. And that was a Friday, I think, is when he did it. It was a Friday or
Oh,
something. No, it was like a Wednesday. And then I got mad at him because I was like, why didn't you tell me about this like day of? Because then I went and looked at my log. So he told me at like, I think it was like 7 or 8 p.m. at night on like a Thursday when he was like wrapping up.
yeah.
And I was like, dude, what the heck? Why'd you sit on this? And he was like, I,
Yeah.
I thought you would have just known. And I was like, no, dude, I didn't. None of my feeds came up. Nothing came with it. So, but luckily we weren't impacted. We just don't have any. At least, we don't use like we weren't using the actual attack vector, and we don't have any public footprint. So, but it's definitely an interesting problem around our CI/CD pipelines, and I'm thinking there's other attack registers that have already happened, and ones that happened in the past too.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of, maybe this is going to boost that statistic of how many secrets were leaked in 2025 because attackers exploited the weakness and actively dumped them, right? And then they dumped them in a format that only they knew to look for. And like the damage is kind of done at that point because you have a secret and now the clock starts. If you can start using it, testing it, they'll be probing and testing it against different endpoints to see what they can do. And if they get in somewhere, then it's about lateral movement, right? So the blast radius starts to increase much faster.
Well, and the one thing I wanted to say was that there really isn't a tool that I know of right now that scans like your GitHub action logs for secrets. That's just not a thing that a lot of companies do, or their vendors even have, right? So interesting
But it's
kind of
weird
problem.
to,
How do you even detect that?
yeah, it's also interesting to think about too, because this was at this point, that was months ago.
Yep.
And we haven't seen anyone come out to be like, look, we can do that now. Like no one
I mean,
actually
I've
thinks to
talked with
prioritize
lots of
it.
vendors. I've been talking with a lot of vendors about this, and a lot of them are building things to do it. So it is coming.
That's not surprising.
So, well, and these secret, like the one thing, this is again why we built the SPVS, right? I'm gonna keep harping on it, is because there's so many, like, pipelines are treated as a secondary. I would even say like a third thought, right?
Yeah.
Everyone just thinks it's like It's just the thing. It's just a vehicle that ships my code. All I really have to focus on is what's in prod, right? And then AppSec in general has been really focused on shifting left and develop and working to make sure that application code is fixed, not the
Right.
pipeline, right? I've gone to many companies where I've jumped it. Like once I joined them, I was like, all right, I'm going to go look at their logs, or I'm going to go look at their pipeline. I'm going to look at their extensions that they're using, because I keep coming to companies that use Jenkins, and I look at their Jenkins extensions, and I'm like, you guys haven't updated this one. It's been screaming at you for like 5 years. Why haven't you upgraded? This one's known CVEs to you, right? Like, why
Yeah.
haven't you upgraded, right? It's I don't know, dude. I just can't understand. But I mean, actually, I do understand, right? We all get bogged down. Pipelines, you don't want to touch it if it's already working, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to make these changes. You don't want to upgrade. That's usually why they're not, especially if you're using Jenkins. I do really like that the industry is moving towards like GitLab and GitHub. I mean, even like Circle CI, like a lot of these other runners where
Yeah.
it's just automatic upgrades. It's a true SaaS platform.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been trying to move in that direction for so long now to like minimize the pain and investment we have to make in terms of like spending time updating infrastructure or software or whatever. And if you can make it automatic without breaking things, then great. Now I have more time to focus on other things. But that doesn't mean I put more time into not leaking my secrets. Like
Yeah.
it's I agree that pipelines are often overlooked, and it's between our two perspectives. Like you're always gonna kind of gravitate towards that because you know to do it and you're passionate about the space. Like you and your co-author for the SPVS, um, recognize problem, built solution. Now you can put it out in the world, and hopefully everyone else starts paying attention to it. But I've never walked into a company and been like, "Show me your software pipelines." Like I'm an architect. I'm focus on production. I focus on what they're building, like do threat modeling from the infrastructure layer, the application layer, et cetera. But it's the pipeline only really comes into scope when we start talking about, well, how are you promoting your stuff from the lower environment to the production environment? And it doesn't go so far as to dig in and kind of pick it apart like you've started to do. And so I think it's a new perspective that now's the time because supply chain attacks unfortunately became a thing. And now we got to fix it
Yeah.
or
Well,
prevent it, really.
you being the threat modeling expert, and based off just our conversation here, are you starting to rethink that and be like,
Absolutely.
maybe I need to actually start building doing a threat model around our software pipeline?
Well, I think that's totally worthwhile. And I've actually seen other architects in other places, and I've done this to some degree at other companies where our architecture says this is what the product looks like, and here's all the different things that touch it, right? Whether it's a SaaS application or something on-prem, like you have all of your communication paths, you have your data flows, you have your ports, your protocols, et cetera, all of it. Very rarely does someone put that pipeline in the picture, which is weird because we're in a world where everything is built by code. It's pipelines are building and deploying things on our behalf now, right?
Yeah.
And so why don't we draw it? It's not happening fast enough, but I do see other architects that are starting to do it more, and I think it's a really good thing. And now that also, I know we're going to keep harping on the SPVS because it just dropped, and you're one of the co-authors and whatever, but I'm interested in it because I did a preliminary review in the earlier days and went through the controls, and I remember saying to you, "Hey, Cameron, I recognize a lot of these things. Like you're taking everything I do on a daily basis and applying it to a pipeline."
Yeah.
So it's like the worlds are coming together, and this is another reason why I think we talk about product security and not just like architecture versus AppSec and the rest of it.
Yeah. So bringing it back to secrets, I want to ask you, what do you think around secrets and pipelines is something that I've seen other AppSec, pipeline security enthusiasts have seen? What do you think the big concern is around secrets and pipelines?
I mean, the pipelines are generally consumers of secrets. right? So you're gonna have a bunch of credentials plugged into that pipeline.
Yep.
And if you do it right, you have a secret store and it's using an API to pull those.
Wait.
Right.
While you're on that one right there,
Hot take.
I'm gonna throw prod in there. What do you think the
All
problem
right.
is there? What do you think what is there a commonality that sometimes is between your pipeline and prod?
I feel like
And
this is
secrets.
that's
It is.
am I being punked right now? Like I honestly, I've seen it be a massive mess when it comes to secrets. Like there's not a clear delineation for one. Like your pipeline is touching prod, but it lives in dev. So why should it have access to production level credentials? You're
And
blurring the
often they do,
lines.
right?
They
Often
always do. in
They
my
always do.
experience.
Yeah, like all the time. You'll go do an audit, right? And you'll be like, is this cred? And is the same one you use in prod? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, why do you do that? And they're
Don't
like,
do
well,
that.
because we got to test it. And I'm like, yeah, but why are you using, like, that's the whole point
Right.
of pre-prod, right? You have your pre-prod
Right.
environment. Sure, I get that all of us test in prod, but your pipeline should never have actual
Oh.
valid prod creds, but they do it all the time. It's one of my favorite
Well,
things to jump into. I just go look and be like,
Like,
boom.
right. And I have the luxury of working with a cloud operations team who is more proactive about this. So they're using the same creds in dev and prod and people who have access to it when they shouldn't. And I'm like, great, now let's fix it. And everyone's like, we don't have time for that. Well, you better, because the separation of the lowers and prod is extremely important. And there's this idea that devs can't have access to prod, right? Separation of duties and all those wonderful terms we throw around. So them having access to production credentials, no, not allowed. Now, build your pipelines in such a way that fixes that. You're going to have a pipeline that can build out your dev environment. The pipeline that manages deployment to production or build and deploy to prod, that's an operations managed thing. The people who have access to those secrets can build it and have access to those things. Developers can't be involved. So there's that handoff. And this is why it's extremely important that your operations team be friends with your engineering team. See a lot of tension there in a lot of places. And it's like, at the end of the day, you need a clean handoff or it's just never going to work well.
I mean, it's the
And
same
that
thing.
creates risk and leaked credentials. And it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you're kind of saying, right, I think every cross department, there's often friction, right? So it's always about us leaders coming together and deciding how can we reduce the friction as much as possible and promote, our synergy so that we can both, meet our goals, compliance goals, our internal goals and objectives mutually.
Yeah. I mean, it's in InfoSec especially, right? Like people often see security teams as a point of friction and it just increases the tension between other teams. And it's like, no, I'm here to help you and make it easier for you so you don't have to think about those things. And so it's an enabler. It's not a friction point.
True. And I think, sorry, one thing we're talking about right here, right? Enabling. Why does this keep happening, right?
I think a lot of it depends on where you go, right? There's still gaps in awareness. There's very often this problem with velocity of everyone's just like, go, 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 go. And they don't think twice about it because they're not security people. They're not paid to be paranoid about it or whatever it is, right? Where that's what we live and breathe every stinking day. And so this is where partnerships and embedding people on teams becomes valuable, or having champions, like whatever works for your organization or your environment. I think you were hinting at something earlier around the complexities with pipelines. People build them, they don't touch them ever again. They're like, if I touch it, it breaks. So hands off. Don't even upgrade it. Don't breathe on it.
Well, it depends. That also depends, like how the team structures, right? There are companies where the DevOps are actual developers, right? And so the developer teams actually manage their pipelines, which in my experience has not been very successful because usually you have like somebody defaults to the pipeline expert and then that guy leaves. And then everyone else is like, well, XYZ, whatever his name, Jordan, whoever, he was the one who built it. he didn't write any docs, or all the docs are old now because we all, we had to ship, right? Because we're talking about velocity. So that's a very
Yeah.
common thing, right? And then if you have a an actual DevOps team handling all your pipelines, oh, that's always a good time. I like those companies. I like when they have a proper DevOps team. Makes AppSec life easy.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's about reducing friction, right? So rather than talk to 100 teams, you can talk to one.
It's true. I mean, I think the other reasons it keeps happening, right? We already touched on AI, right? AI
Yeah.
is spitting out more
New
code.
kid on the block.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is, I think developers, and not that it's their fault, but a lot of times they, as we said, velocity. They have to meet their deadlines and things miss.
Yeah.
I've seen environment files get committed to their code base. Complete accident, right?
Yeah.
Complete accident.
I've seen a lot of that in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They had a engineer who had highlighted it to me, and I was like, "Hey, Cameron, this
Yeah.
sounds like a fun time for you guys."
Yeah.
But it's something that's overlooked, right? So some of your more experienced devs that have done more in the world of security or DevOps or DevSecOps, if you like, one of the first things they do is exclude that environment file because that's good practice. And it's kind of like, is there a way that we can make that happen automatically in the developer tool set so that it helps minimize this problem? And we go from we go from detection, which is what we currently try to do, right, by scanning all of these things and finding them, to proactive prevention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes back to like the thing I was talking about earlier about the DevOps team and having one. I've worked with a lot of DevOps teams where they do that, right? When you create a repo, it automatically creates a git ignore file. That git ignore file already has pre-done, basic things,
Right.
like, ignore environment files, right? And so by default, as you're saying, they're good to go. But at some companies, the maturity around that, they're still, mature. That takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of, thought, automation, and somebody to build that process out and handle it. So the other big thing that I see is the tooling. From an application security side, our tooling sucks with secrets, like flat out. It is horrible, and it's the one thing that I think AI will really help, because you have to contextualize these secrets. Because what we're doing right now, and it was one of the quotes earlier, was like, if the secret is in code, it's only like one grep away from being found.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's literally that easy. And a lot of the
Yeah.
tools I've seen, like I've used a lot of different SAS scanners. SAS scanners usually have built-in secret detectors. I know of a certain company where I was working, they rolled out an update to their secret like detecting module. I walked in with 50,000 new detections.
Gosh.
And that's because they messed up their detection. Anything that was in string quotes, boom, through a secret and was like, this
Wow.
is a vulnerability. But it's like, it's not. It's literally just, string text. And so they reverted that. That gave me a massive headache because at that time, guess what? I had Jira integration. I created 50,000 tickets for the devs. That was awful.
Oh, man.
That
Sounds like
was
you had a great day.
that was awful. I was like, can I buy you guys cookies? Can I send pizza? What can I do to make this better? I'm so sorry, right? Like, I know it's not my fault, but at the end of the day, I'm the person who represents those tools. So it
Yeah.
was pretty frustrating. But again, a lot of the tools suck. I mean, I am using one tool right now that I've actually seen that's been pretty darn great. So I'm using GitGuardian. It's been pretty amazing, especially its public monitoring side.
Yeah.
I really like its public monitoring side.
I mean, I have some experience with it, basically from working with you, right? Like where we used it, we tested it, it found things within days of plugging it in, right? And we had to act on that intel, and it was like kind of prove the value pretty quickly. And this is the other thing of like all the public repos. Sometimes people don't recognize that, hey, my API key or access key and secret key got in there, or the environment file got in there, and once it's public, man, like it's on the record, it's someone else has it. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, the bad guys are scanning all of this pretty quickly. They're farming it and they're testing those credentials as they find them. And so this is kind of like the assumed breach scenario, right? If it's in the public domain, assume that it's gone. Like someone has it and they're going to abuse it. So you have to immediately go and rotate that credential to avoid someone exploiting it.
100%. I mean, GitGuardian, they detect secrets leaked in seconds, and they even detect commit history. And I think that's something that a lot of devs and a lot of people overlook. They're like, oh, it's not in the main commit, right? But they never purged their Git history. And GitGuardian also scrapes Git history. So boom, all those secrets.
I think like we have a product that's doing it. They're doing good for the world. Why do you think they're doing that? Is because the bad guys are doing it too. So if they can do it in seconds, the bad guys can do it in seconds or faster. It's a reactionary thing, right? And so like people they'll go and clear the history and be like, we're safe, guys. We clear our history. No, you're not. Someone already has that credential or secret, whatever, rotate it. You have to always follow through on the rotation to void that credential. And I keep saying credential, secret, whatever it is. They're used interchangeably. You have to rotate it to avoid the access of whoever's got it in their pocket.
Yeah. And I mean, to wrap up this kind of section of this, secrets or credential leaks are, I'd say, one of the most impactful, because it's literally the keys to your kingdom. They bypass most everything. If you can log in, and if they can log in using that credential or use your service by whatever secret is detected, they're in, right? That's what, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, but it's the thing that we all hear about all the time, and probably tell our parents and everybody, protect your passwords, protect your secrets, because once an attacker, right, they phish you, what are they looking for? They're looking for you to put your credentials, your secrets in, so they can log in as you, because it is literally the easiest way to own a company. It is much harder to attack a company and figure out the vulnerabilities and pivot through that. And what do they do once they pivot? They start looking for credentials and secrets so that they can become an existing user, right? Create a legit looking account, and then boom, they disappear and remove their tracks.
Yeah. And I mean, if they get those credentials, and we often see attackers kind of try to model normal behavior or do things quietly, so that, I mean, they know how security tools work. They know how they're going to be detected if they operate outside of the norm. So if they get a credential and appear to be legitimate, they can move much more carefully. And by the time that you recognize the damage is done, they're gone.
True.
And it all comes back to identity. I'm going to keep saying this, like we started here, like identity is it's not the new attack surface, but it is the original, and it's on steroids now. It's everywhere. It's your first line of defense. And people are going to say, well, what if I do MFA? How are you going to make a machine MFA? That's another challenge we're facing. It's possible. It's not easy.
So from your side, Kurt, I know we listed and we've kind of talked through a lot of these things, but I think this is something we want to talk about, at least to wrap this up. What are all the different things that people, companies can do to, practically defend themselves?
I mean, we've touched on a lot of these things. We've talked about processes and what you can do, or like DevSecOps teams can set it up so that the git ignore file is there by default and ignores environment files, or common places for secrets to be stored, right? Or you can leverage technology to scan the environment and do the detective reactive stuff for you, because you should always be doing that anyway, just to, one, prove that whatever you did before works, but two, catch anything that falls through. So you're protected on all sides of the equation, right? It's like like calculus or algebra now, man. At least it's not a front door or a house.
Yeah. Good.
Um,
Let's keep those analogies out of there.
yeah, I think another thing we always talk about is like build a culture around security. This is part of it, especially with devs. And I think you do a lot of this in every day, is creating a culture of awareness and forethought and partnering with devs so that security is enabler, not creating friction. I keep listing stuff, and I know where you're going to go with this. It's probably the SPVS. Let's talk about maturity. Let's talk about pipeline. So take it away, Cameron. What do you want to add to it?
I mean, yeah, leverage technology. So there's a lot of open source scanning tools for like if you're trying to manage your code bases. There are paid solutions. GitHub just made public, I believe it's for free, their secret scanning module. You can just go into your things and turn it on. So that's an amazing thing that they're bringing out. Always try to put these things into pre-commits. So when a developer is about to commit their code and push it, run a scan before so you remove it from the Git commit history. Beyond that, we talked about this earlier, use secret managers, right?
Always.
AWS, secret manager. What Azure has Key Vault, I think it is. If you don't want to use one of them, HashiCorp, Vault, I've used that one a lot. That one might be debatable because I believe they increased their cost or something. Always rotate your secrets, set up, standard rotating, audit logs, keep those logs, separate your environment. DevOps and prod should not share the same creds, dude. No way. Pipelines.
Never.
Check your pipelines. One thing that I'm starting to see a trend around that, have your pipeline logs go to your SOC. Some SOC teams do want those things. Check that. Have your logs also checked and have that processed by some kind of secret thing too. Make sure your secrets that are in your pipelines are also routinely rotated. I see a lot of people just set up the creds and forget it. But the thing is, usually every secret that's usually in your CI/CD pipeline, they're essentially plain text because they kind of have to be, unless you're pulling them from a secret store at time of use, which that's a lot of work in our pipeline verification standard. That one, I think we put that as like a level 3 control because we understand how much work that takes. So setting up that is a lot of work. So you got to have like a step of maturity there.
Yeah. Everyone likes to think like I got to solve the whole problem all at once, right? And that's not how we build technology. So why would we secure it in the same way? It's baby steps. You bite it off in pieces and you progress from 0 to hero.
Yeah. So I think there's a bunch of other things too, right? I like the culture one. So I can't remember his last name, but Dustin, I was attending a talk on security champions at LastCon this year, and he said application security is a cultural changing team or something along those lines. And I was like, yeah, I really resonate with that. I think as a leader, that's my whole goal. 99% of the time is a cultural change. I'm trying to change the internal culture from just the InfoSec team, right? I see at times when I join the company, a lot of defeated professionals because they're, XYZ, overworked, whatever. Drive that passion so that they're willing to make change and adopt change, as well as affect that change across the entire org, right? You want your developers to be part of it, and you have to adapt a change, mentality everywhere. So adopting that will help make your secrets, start to die out or be detected properly, should I say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other ones.
Yeah. I think we pretty well covered it, and we'll think of something as soon as we move on or we wrap this up, but that's fine. We'll talk about it a different time.
Yeah. Any last minute things you want to say?
Putting me on the spot again, man. Stop creating this chaos. Wearing me out.
That's fair. Maybe we beat this one.
You got any more cool quotes?
I don't know. The secrets are in the code.
I always say that one. That's like your life motto, man.
Yeah. It's true. Like, and that, I mean, that's more than anything. So I don't know. I've worked at a lot of companies where I never had to ask for credentials because I just hopped into the CI, into like the like GitHub or your source code management system, and then just searched for creds and then found all the creds I would need.
Yeah, well,
Happens all the
there's
time.
tools now that people use for that all the time. Trufflehog has gotten a lot of attention lately because that, I think, was used in one of the exploits we've seen for the credential steal, theft, and theft. Can't even talk anymore, man.
Yeah.
In pipelines.
Yeah. That was that other one where didn't they steal creds and do some? I can't remember. There's so many.
Yeah,
Remember.
there's been a lot of supply chain attacks this year that have gotten quite a bit of attention. They're all kind of starting to blur together.
True. So, well, I mean, for the developer teams, please, do not commit your secrets. Make sure your environment files are, in the Git ignore file. Scan your code before you do anything, or push it, should I say. Purge your commit history if you have a secret. Always remove and rotate. A lot of people don't do both. They'll just remove it and be like, I'm safe now. And I'm like, well, if it was leaked, if it was already committed in code and pushed somewhere, you should rotate. Even if it's internal, you should still rotate.
Absolutely.
So, and I guess I should define rotate. Rotate means you delete and make that secret invalid.
Yeah.
And then you generate a whole new secret for the service accounts or whatever you're using.
Actually secret. Make it secret again.
Yeah. So, yeah. What do you got?
I mean, well, we talk about things a lot at the developer level, right? And like do these things and use technology, whatever. But what about the leadership levels? Like we live the leadership life. We have to sell this to executives. We have to sell it to dev teams. So like there's all kinds of things we have to do differently. And you talked about like being a change agent. That's very hard, and it's all about influence and helping change the culture and bring attention to the issues and enable people to fix them. It's very time consuming. It's hard. The only constant is change. I know people say that a lot, and it's true because this is an ever evolving space. And it's like we can do all the training, but that's not going to protect us from everything. So it's like leverage technology, create the culture around it, and measure how often is this problem still happening. If you see a trend downward over time, then you're being effective. If it's flat, got to change the approach somewhere, right?
Yeah, and I would also say from a leader's perspective, this is one of the most damaging attack vectors if you are exploited. So it is something that should be taken very seriously.
It's again, tie it back to identity. Still the leading cause of breaches in the world today because it's the easiest to exploit.
Yep.
So if you get the keys to the kingdom, I mean, it's over, right? So you got to protect the identity, whether it's a secret in code or a service account, whatever it may be. Protect it, manage it, and respond quickly when you need to. The more responding you do, the more chaos you have, and the more churn you create. And so it's better to be proactive, save that time that you can then invest into improving the product and building things, which is what we all like to do.
Yes.
Yes. Nothing to add there. I finally did it.
Good job.
Finally got the stamp of approval from Cameron. I'm out. I'm done.
10 out of 10. Wrap us up. Take us out then.
Just dropped a mic right there, man. I'm done. Thanks. Secrets and code. I think we beat this one to death. It's been fun as usual. If you enjoyed it, smash that subscribe button, like button, whatever it is. I don't even know.
Smash that smash. I love that one.
Smash the smash from the last episode. I'm tempted to. I say it all the time now, man. Smash that smash. Like what?
What?
It's Cameron for you. So, you got any quotes to take us out on? Come on, Cameron. I know you got something fun.
No, we have a bunch that are written down, but we could say one of those, right? Patch your code, refill your cup, and stay chaotic.
Yeah, it's coffee, chaos, and ProdSec, man. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining.